In Worcester versus Watkins, we're looking at a public record exception. And when you look at this particular rule, it looks a lot like a regular old business record exception, except that the activities that are being recorded are those things done by public officials. And unlike most businesses, investigations are not really the course of business of most private businesses. Whereas for a lot of public offices, determining facts are a big part of what they do. And police are certainly in the business of determining and collecting facts. So a public record is under 803A admissible if a statement or a record of a public office sets out the office's activities. Officer so-and-so, they were patrolling this neighborhood that day. Or if it's a matter observed, the climatologist writes down the temperature. Or in a civil case or against the government in a criminal case, factual findings that a body goes out and makes a determination and then makes that report. So in Worcester versus Watkins, you've got a police report that is offering a statement from someone who comes in or is brought in and confesses. So is that either an observation made by a public official, a police officer, or is that a conclusion that is made by a police officer? And the court says, no, it's neither. It's neither. Because all this report does is essentially transcribe the statement that was given to the police officer. This is not an adjudicative matter. This is simply a transcription. If the officer had gone out and observed the assault on the groom in this case, actually the confession was by someone at the bachelor party in Worcester versus Watkins who had attended the bachelor party. And if the police officer had been there and watched it and recorded what he saw, then this absolutely would have been an observation by a police officer under part 2 of this rule, or part B of the rule under New Hampshire's version of the rule. But because the officer is simply recording what someone came in and told him and writing that down verbatim, this is not a finding, and this is not an observation. This is simply a recitation of someone else's statements. And those things are absolutely hearsay unless we can find some other exception for them. So the business record only accounts for the observations that you make as an official or the factual findings that you make. So if the officer was charged with determining what happened, and officers don't do this, if this were, say, a hearing officer in an employment case, or a hearing officer in a civil forfeiture case, and that particular office was charged with making a factual determination, and the person heard witnesses and made the conclusion, then this would qualify. But all this does is unvarnished take the statement and copy it down in a police report, and that involves no interpretive skill. That's not something that the official has been a part of creating. That's something the official, almost like a court reporter, is simply transcribing. So the record itself only qualifies if there's real work done by the public official, real sort of intellectual, conclusory calculation, observation, perception, et cetera, that's done by the official. Now, if the officer had put in his note something like, Fowley, the person who came in and confessed, he seemed nervous when he came in, that statement would absolutely come in this civil case as an observation of the police officer. But merely recording the statement, that's nothing but transcription, and so that falls outside of the public document exception, even though that statement appears within a public document that may otherwise have parts that are admissible.